The Lenape also inhabited these lands at the time of the written treaties. We also acknowledge the indigenous peoples who traveled these lands before the written treaties. Today, Chatham-Kent neighbors the Lenape at El Napawi, Lackaweet, also called Delaware Nation at Moraviantown, and the unceded territory of Bakajwanong, Wapuu Island First Nation. Chatham-Kent continues to be home to diverse First Nation, Métis, and Inuit peoples. Chatham-Kent is covered by Treaty 2, the Detroit Treaty of 1790, Treaty 7, the Sombre Township Treaty of 1796, and Treaty 25, Longwoods Treaty of 1822. We also recognize that this region is subject to earlier wampum agreements, like the two-row wampum and the dish with one spoon wampum. As beneficiaries of the treaties, we recognize our responsibilities, including our collective responsibilities to the land and water. Thank you. Please be seated. Madam Chair, we do not have a supplementary agenda this evening. Rules of decorum at a council meeting. The municipality of Chatham-Kent supports open meetings that welcome debate of public policy issues in an atmosphere of inclusiveness, integrity, civility, fairness, and respect for differing points of view. Anyone conducting themselves in a way that disturbs, disrupts, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting, interrupts or makes derogatory statements or hate speech, defamatory comments about councillors, staff, speakers, or fellow members of the public may result in removal from the premises. This also applies to deputations. We ask that you do not approach council members if they are seated in their council seats. The public, unless invited, is not permitted to come into the gated horseshoe area. The use of posters, signage, and literature is also prohibited. Madam Chair, we have absent this evening Mayor Caniff and Councillor C. McGregor. Participating virtually, we have Councillor Finn and Councillor Story. Disclosures of pecuniary interest, direct or indirect, for open session agenda items. We have Councillor Jubenville regarding 20A, the follow-up report of Mary Ellen Bench regarding Councillor Jubenville. And this evening we had an artist feature, Eric Philpott, from the Dresden 1957 documentary project. Unfortunately, he is not feeling well this evening, and we will reschedule him for a future council meeting. Now we will move on to the presentation. We have Mr. Rory Ring of the Chatham-Kent Chamber of Commerce here to speak about the strategic plan. Welcome, Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Madam Chair and councillors. Thank you once again for being able to come before you and talk a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce. Let me get my timer started. We wanted to, just before we actually officially launch our strategic plan, come before you just to give you an overview and talk a little bit about the process, if you like. I'll keep that short. But really, at the end of the day, where we seem to converge on each other's mission and vision for the future of Chatham-Kent. We went through a non-traditional, if you like, strategic planning process, focusing on what is called being a purpose-led organization. And we did this to help us to frame ourselves in a competitive environment. And that competitive environment is seeking out and attracting the best people, engaging like-minded stakeholders and partners, and delivering sustainable results. Being a purpose-led organization directly supports future-proofing by providing a strong, enduring foundation that guides adaptation, resilience, and meaningful innovation, qualities critical for long-term survival in a rapidly changing world. And I think we can all agree to the speed and velocity of which our environment is evolving. Going this route helps provide clarity and stability. It helps us seek an empowered workforce and members, stakeholders, and partners. It enhances our ability to be resilient and increases our adaptability. It looks to secure talent attraction and retention, not only within our own organization, but within our community. And it provides strategic focus, which is purpose-centric and allows us to make decisions and reduce risk without blindly chasing short-term trends. With that in mind, we landed on, as you'll see, three pillars that anchor us. We do have a fourth pillar, impact, which is more of a measurable and key performance indicator. But in the purpose and the idea of purpose is the statement which grounds you. And here I think you can and will see not only yourselves, but the community and those of us that participate in making Chatham-Kent a better place to live and work. And the Chatham-Kent Chamber of Commerce exists to cultivate a thriving business ecosystem and partners and collaborate with like-minded stakeholders so that members can broaden their economic horizons, inspire success, and contribute to a prosperous and vibrant community. And I'd just like to reflect that this also embraces the concepts of 7 generations, a concept and a cultural pivot of our pillar of our Indigenous communities. And that's respecting the 7 generations before us, the 7 generations that straddle the present, both in historical terms, but also into the future, and the 7 generations yet to come. And it's very important that we see ourselves in that vision. As being founded in 1872, we obviously want to continue on for the next 7 generations and make an impact here in Chatham-Kent. So our strategic pillars: engage, empower, inspire, and impact. And I'll just touch briefly quickly on those, and we'll open the floor for any questions. Engaging our members and stakeholders and partners through opportunities to connect, learn, collaborate, and support one another to drive economic prosperity. For us, that means creating invaluable membership services. Today, it's a very costly environment in which to run a business. We offer programs that allow businesses to seek cost reductions, be competitive for human resources, employee benefits. We provide, in concert with our partners at the Economic Development Corporation and the Small Business Center, courses, information on tariff relief. We continue to build that sense of belonging into a business community and the community as a whole. And we engage our non-members to ensure that we still remain vigilant to address their needs while encouraging membership. We focus also as well on educating, advocating, and belonging. These will help us provide our members with the power, if you like, to take control of their own destiny. And partnering with our stakeholders and community partners, all levels of government, we look to advance innovation, advocacy, and engagement, empowering those businesses, growth, economic prosperity, and a better quality of life. Our primary objectives there are to promote diversity, sustainability, economic resilience, independent business growth, as well as economic reconciliation. We want to be that trusted partner. We work to create initiatives with the Economic Development Corporation, the Business Development Corporation, the Community Development Corporation, Local Immigration Partnership, and the community stakeholders and partners that we have go on. We want to foster that culture where business leaders can collaborate and grow, build trust, and create opportunities to develop the leaders of the future. Through them and through those empowerments that we provide to our members, we want to be able to inspire the businesses and community by fostering a vibrant ecosystem where innovation thrives, collaboration flourishes, and collective success is celebrated. All this to the end is that we will future-proof our community, and through those tools, data, and methods align with modern business trends and community outreach. We look to connect experienced business leaders with new entrepreneurs. Perhaps you've had the opportunity to attend some of our events. We want to be able to celebrate local businesses. Business Excellence Awards, or just last week, our Rural Urban Awards, the 79th anniversary of that particular event. And we look to align ourselves with those who want to make a difference in our community. We want to be able to promote benchmarking to measure success of members. You've probably heard me speak before how Chatham-Kent needs to be able to compete in today's world for investment, for people, for young leaders. And we will look to leverage digital tools, enhance communications within the community, our network, and external to our community as well. Impact will drive economic growth, strengthen our community ties, and champion policies that benefit local business and residents, transforming our region into a thriving hub of opportunity and prosperity. We look to maintain the profile and the influence of the Chatham-Kent Chamber locally, provincially, and federally. We hosted Daniel Tish, the President and CEO of the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, last week and gave him a fully immersive experience here in Chatham-Kent, partnering with the Kent Federation of Agriculture, visiting the Ridgetown campus, and inviting also the Dean of Agriculture Ontario to speak at our Rural Urban Awards last night. We look to promote that pro-business climate through solutions-based advocacy and provide those recommendations that will support our community, create awareness of the impacts of those policies on competitiveness of business, and maintain our own organization with optimization of technology, financial stability, and adopt a succession plan so that we too can pass the torch on for another 150 plus years. So just rounding out the pillars of our strategic plan, and to restate our purpose that the Chatham-Kent Chamber of Commerce exists to cultivate a thriving business ecosystem and collaborate with like-minded stakeholders and partners so that members can broaden their economic horizons, inspire success, and contribute to a prosperous and vibrant community for generations to come. And I think you'll see, very strong alignment to the strategic mission of the Chatham-Kent municipality. And we hope that you will reach out to us and attend some of our events, but also support your constituents through the Chamber and the activities that we do at the Chatham-Kent Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Rory, for that. Any questions or comments? Anyone? Okay, thank you again. Thanks a lot.
Thanks very much.
First of all, Council, before I move on, I have been told by building maintenance that there was a pump problem and it is fixed and we should be having heat very soon. As for deputations this evening, we have not any deputations. And now we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following items have been pulled to be voted on separately. Items 17A, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Update. There's an information report and a presentation. Item 18A, the Deloitte Audit Report Update, has been pulled and there's an information report. Item 19B and C, the IESO Request for Municipal Support, for both of those reports. So there's a presentation. Item 20A, the follow-up report of Mary Ellen Bench regarding Councillor Jubenville. We have a conflict by Councillor Jubenville, and the item's been pulled by Councillor Crew, Hall, Doyle, and Bondi. And item 20D, the motion of Councillor B. McGregor regarding public meetings with PMs and MPPs. Sorry, MPs and MPPs. Therefore, the remaining reports stay on the consent agenda to be voted on by one motion, and those items are 15A, B, C, 16A, 17B, 19A, and 20B and C.
Okay, we will put it to vote. Sorry, can I get someone to move that, please? Councillor Hall and Councillor Crew, thanks.
Councillor Finn?
Yes.
And Councillor Story?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 16-0. Now move on to item 17A of Fire and Emergency Services, Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan Update. We have Aaron DeMars, Community Safety and Wellbeing Coordinator.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of Council. My name is Erin DeMars. I'm the Community Safety and Wellbeing Coordinator with Chatham-Kent Fire.
As Council may recall, the Community Safety and Policing Act requires that every municipality in Ontario create and maintain a community safety and well-being plan. These plans are updated every 4 years, and Council adopted our updated plan in June. Tonight, 6 months later, I'm here to share what we've accomplished and what's ahead. The purpose of these plans is very simple. It's to bring together different sectors to work on proactive solutions and improve safety and well-being for all in our community. The legislation defines community safety and well-being as the ideal state of a community where everyone is safe, has a sense of belonging, has opportunities to participate, and where individuals and families are able to meet their needs for education, healthcare, food, housing, income, and social and cultural expression. And that's the vision that we're working towards. To guide our work, we looked at local data, community feedback from a survey earlier this year, and insight from our CSWB Advisory Committee. From that, we identified 6 priority areas for action, and they are mental health, substance use, housing and income security, children, youth, and family wellness, public safety, and community belonging. Each of these areas affects safety and well-being in their own way, but by making steady improvements across all areas, we can make sure that Chatham-Kent is an even better place to live. Since June, we've made some important progress. First, Chatham-Kent became a member of the Canadian Centre for Safer Communities, giving us access to a national network and valuable resources like evidence briefs and training. Our advisory committee secured a grant from the Chatham-Kent Community Foundation to support training on adverse childhood experiences. And we partnered with the Community Drug Strategy and ROC to train 50 full-time firefighters in compassionate approaches to substance use. This training helps firefighters speak about substance use in non-judgmental ways, engage meaningfully with people who have lived experience, recognize and reduce stigma, and understand local resources. Our governance structure includes a multi-sector advisory committee and action tables for each priority area. These action tables will be able to identify gaps and barriers and then guide collaborative projects to address those gaps. So far, we've established action tables for housing and income security, substance use, community belonging, and children, youth, and family wellness. Mental health and public safety action tables will follow, and my role is to support these tables in helping coordinate work across agencies. We often talk about how good decisions rely on good data, but data can be very expensive and out of reach for many organizations. And that's why one of the most exciting steps in this Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan has been becoming a founding member of the Southwest Data Consortium. Through our consortium membership, we are able to leverage the buying power that is needed to gain access to the community data program. And this program includes over 2,000 data products, analytical tools, and training. Our municipal staff who work with raw data products now have access to this program, and we plan to expand this to community partners so that other organizations in the community can benefit. Another major initiative is Project Upstream. This is a 2-year national project being led by the Canadian Centre for Safer Communities, and its goal is to help communities build capacity to address hate, social polarization, and violent extremism through multi-sector partnerships. Chatham-Kent was selected as one of 10 pilot sites in the country for this project, and I'd like to celebrate that fact because this is a pretty significant step forward. We're currently in the data collection stage and have been organizing focus groups with community organizations. And this project will provide a report on risk and protective factors that will come with recommendations from some experts, national experts in safety and well-being planning. And then we will work with those experts to develop community-based initiatives to strengthen resilience and address emerging issues across the community. And I'd like to point out this is aligned with multiple areas of our community safety and well-being plan, community belonging, public safety, and children, youth, and family wellness in particular. But depending on the projects that come out of that program, there may be more alignment.
And looking ahead, here's some of the work that will be happening next. We'll be launching a public-facing community safety and well-being website that will include key indicators of safety and well-being so that folks in the community can understand how Chatham-Kent is stacking up against other communities in terms of safety and well-being. And other updates about the work that is happening in each area so that people in our community are aware of a lot of the work that's going on. There is some great work that is already happening, and we want to make sure that that information is being shared widely. We will be developing an evaluation plan using new tools from the Ministry of the Solicitor General and the Canadian Centre for Safer Communities. They have indicated that they will be publishing a evaluation toolkit, including key performance indicators in March, so we will be watching for that and customizing that for our community. Next, I will be working with the action tables to set priorities and plan actions, which will then be reviewed by the advisory committee. And finally, looking at creating a community engagement strategy so that folks in the community can stay engaged with this work beyond just taking part in different surveys. That's the update I have for you this evening. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take them now. Otherwise, I can be contacted by email.
Awesome, thank you, Erin. Any questions or comments from anybody? Yeah, okay.
Thanks for your presentation, Erin, and for your work on the community safety and well-being plan. I know the committee, which is a lot of different partners at the table, has a lot of information about what's going on in the community, and particularly relevant as we go through some of the discussions about community impact of homelessness that we see right now. And I think calling attention to the community engagement proportion that's coming in the future, I think, is really helpful. I know it's a challenge, and we said it before, in getting the stories out there about the work that's going on and the partners that are doing that work, and I think this is an important opportunity for some of that to be highlighted. So thank you for the presentation, and we look forward to those next steps.
Councillor Scotchy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just, what would be the best way for like someone in the general public to reach out about some concerns that maybe you're revisiting in some of these aspects, particularly like public safety? If somebody, had some concerns about some of the challenges as it relates to the housing insecurity and the substance use and that, what would be like the best method for them to communicate that with the very important resources that you have access to?
I think the best answer I can provide is certain questions are probably best directed to managers and directors of certain divisions within the municipality still. My role is very much a policy lens and to pull pieces together. So I do have access to information, and I'm always happy to be contacted. We do have a general email address where members of the community can reach out to us. It's cswb@chatham-kent.ca. We also have a Let's Talk page currently where we do share an update on the work of what's happening in the community safety and well-being plan, but something specific to housing or encampment concerns would probably still be best directed to the Health and Human Services Department, because they are the folks that are working with that hands-on, and I think that Jody Guimet might be the best person to speak to about that.
Thank you, Erin, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your question, Councillor. If it's a question and a need for an issue to be addressed, I would suggest they call 311. We want to be able to track all of the issues, and we want to make sure that the questions get to the right people as quickly as they possibly can so that we can address the issues. So in addition to those other areas, if it's a specific operational issue that we need to address right away, please call 311 so that we can get to that as soon as we can.
Anybody else? Well, thank you very much, Erin. That was awesome.
Next, we have Police Services, 18A, Deloitte Audit Report Update. And we have an information report and a presentation by Police Chief Kirk Early.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Council. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here tonight to have a conversation about where we're at with our Deloitte process. Special thanks to Councillor Sakachi for the motion. It was an interesting exercise to go through just to see how much things have changed in the last almost 24 months since Council approved all of the recommendations from Deloitte. So hopefully you've had a chance to flip through the report, which is a little bit more in depth. I've been asked to give about a 2-hour dissertation. We'll see how that goes, but no, we'll just give a quick highlight as to where we're at and a bit of a recap as to how we got here. So we're going to go through the actual audit itself, not in detail, just what Deloitte reported on, some of the operational improvements we have to date, as well as what's going to be happening in 2026. There's a slide focused simply on wellness, because I think we would all agree that that is our #1 priority, was our members and their well-being, as well as some metrics with where we're at today, as well as community engagement, some of the enhancements there, and then what the future looks like. So as you know, this was triggered back in 2023. We had Deloitte come in as a third party to give an independent overview as to where we're at as an organization. As we expected, with the significant rise in calls for service, as well as in our officers' well-being, as well as some resource constraints. The audit did confirm that from 2018 to 2022, we saw a 9% increase in calls for service, and at the same time, we had a 5% decrease in active officers being available. We also saw a 54% drop in our proactive policing initiatives, 29% increase in sick time usage, and at just over 50% of the time, we could not fill the mandatory minimums we have on frontline patrol. Just so you know, for mandatory minimums for us, we have a collective agreement with our junior association, and we have to have at any given time no less than 14 officers on the road. So we could not maintain that. And in fact, I believe it was 2021, we had to move officers out of some of our support units, intelligence unit, and major crime, to help augment our shifts until we could get people back in. So as you know, we looked for approval for 43 full-time positions. That was 16 sworn officers, 16 civilians, and 11 special constables. Myself and my predecessor, Chief Khan, were here back in 2023, and we rolled those bodies into our request with our multi-year budget, ultimately kicking off a 4-year transformation and modernization of our police service. We're looking at improvement on member wellness, community safety, public safety, and our response time. Thank you to you as council for your support in that. I think it was a key investment in public safety, and you made that announcement loud and clear, not only for the community, but I think for our police service as well. So where are we at today? Well, we looked at things back about 1.5 years ago, and community patrol, our frontline patrol, was key. Each platoon needs 24 police officers, 3 special constables, and 4 supervisors. I'm happy to say that we have 4 more recruits going to OPC in January, and when they return, we will be at that full complement, which is key in answering the number of calls that you see if you see our daily summaries, with over 200 calls every 24 hours. So that was key. Obviously key as well, to get to that point, we needed to augment and enhance our training and recruiting unit. Initially, we only had 1 person in that office and 4 people that would work part-time. We increased that to 5, and I can tell you, just to give you a little context from the training side alone and from the recruiting side, in the last 2 years, we've had 22 police officers retire. That's over 600 years of experience that's gone. For the last 24 months, almost 24 months, we have hired 65 people, 36 sworn, and 29 civilians for this, as well as to augment and backfill for all of those retirements. And just to give a little more context to that, when you hire 36 sworn officers, we actually tested 126. And we ended up with 36, I think, very solid candidates that are now sons, daughters of this community patrolling the streets. Of that as well, we did hire 5 direct, which did help because they do come with some experience, which helps us get them on the road right away. They might not know where they're going a little bit, so we'll put them with a coach officer, but it does help. Also, from a training perspective, with the new CSPA, the Community Safety Policing Act, typically before that act came into place, we had about 20 hours of mandatory training a year for a police officer. That has now grown to 48 hours. So there's 48 hours of mandatory training for almost 200 police officers. So that is extensive. So kudos to Sergeant Jason Williams and his team, because they have done a tremendous job with the recruiting and training. Also, you'll see that we are also adding a civilian to that unit in January 2026, just to help with the number of courses that we send officers on. Just to give you a bit of an idea, on top of the 48 hours mandatory training, they also run 10 weeks in service training. They do 25 workshops, lesson plans, and we've also hosted 7 OPC courses, which is significant for a service our size. So kudos to Jay and his team. We also have in place now 5 full-time ECOs. That is in place now, and we will be going to 6 by the end of 2026. Another restructure that we're looking at is in 2026, we are completely changing our major crime team. Originally what we had major crime investigators that would be assigned to a platoon, so they would rotate with the shifts. What we found was that some of the burnout our officers are experiencing is the complexity of the calls they're taking. Break and enters, intimate partner violence. So what we're doing now is we're looking at having a major crime team that will work straight days, and then you'll have general investigators assigned to each platoon, and they can help bridge that gap a little bit between what needs to stay on the road and what they can help with, whether it's search warrants or things of that nature. And we heard that from our officers as well as from the Deloitte report. So we're looking forward to that change, and that will take place first of the year. Another area, one of the highest crimes we have is theft, break and enters, drugs. So we doubled the size of our intelligence unit, and that took place last year, partway through the year. There's, again, a significant amount of training that goes on for those members. They specialize in drug investigations, property crimes, crime analytics, offender management, and covert operations. You'll see soon in the metrics what that investment actually shows, and I think you're going to see that it's pretty significant. Also as well in January, we're changing our way with what we look at as vulnerable persons. Right now, we have one investigator that investigates child abuse, and we're going to increase that to 2 people, and they're going to do child abuse, elder abuse, and human trafficking. I anticipate human trafficking, once you start to dig into that a little bit, we're probably going to have to add more bodies into that, because we are right on the 401 corridor, and there's no doubt that there's a significant amount of human trafficking going on in Chatham-Kent. Again, we get to health and wellness. First thing we thought we needed to do was get a wellness coordinator for our members. A lot of our members were off sick. We see a lot of traumatic events, so we needed to do something for them. So we hired Amanda in September of 2024, and what she's done is really remarkable for our members. I get to a slide in that in a minute, so I'll talk a little bit more about that. We also added a project manager, and she's in the room tonight, Sarah, who helped me do this as well. With the number of projects we have on the go, NG911, CCTV, grant applications, RFID technology, key performance indicators. We needed somebody to help us manage all those projects, and I don't think we'd be where we are today without her. If you've met Sarah, it's just do what you're told and make sure you get it done. She's very persuasive that way. Also, we have a lot of behind the scenes, as you can imagine. IT, data support. We've hired 3 DEMS clerks, and DEMS is our digital evidence management system. We also have body-worn cameras rolling out right now with all of our officers. We increased our analytical roles by 2, and we hired our own in-house IT programmer, which is key because we are using a lot of evidence-based policing. Just like Aaron talked about, data is key. It's hard to capture right now, but we are working towards getting better at that because it does help allocate resources and identify where we have gaps and needs. So what do we get for that? What you're seeing right now, just to give you an idea, is in 2024, just over 75,000 calls were dispatched to police officers. That's what a CAT event is. And as of today, since we ended the month in November, Amy, our ECO manager, was able to give me an update, and we're just over 76,000 CAT events now. So we anticipate to be probably around 80,000 CAT events by the end of the year, and this is we've been seeing for the last several years, and it's a constant increase every year. Now, you've heard me say several times to the community, and I think you as counselors do that for us, is people need to call us. We need to know what's going on, because if we don't know, then it doesn't really count, right? Social media is not going to help. Call the police, tell us what you have. I was just at the BIA last week, and I'm sure there's people out there that will say they're not going to do anything. I don't want to waste their time. You're not wasting our time. Trust me, you're not. And if you don't get the results that you like from the police officer, please let us know, right? It's about customer service as well, so we need to make sure our community keeps calling us. Rubicon is our new online software that we use, and just in 6 months, we've had over 1,300 calls go through that. The search warrants, so that's our drug unit, our intelligence unit. They did 17 in 2024, and they've done over 40 already this year. It's a 135% increase in production. Drugs and property seizures, pretty self-explanatory. In 2024, they seized just over 800,000, and this year, right now, up to September, we're almost at 27 million. Those are significant numbers. Proactive policing initiatives, and this is pretty much, it's community mobilization unit, it's our officers on the road. Anytime an officer does a self-generated event, Sergeant Rosina and her team go to parades, they go to VIP. Her team alone does over 650 community outreach programs. So what you saw in 2024, we did just over 13,000 proactive initiatives, and this year we're almost at 21,000. So over the 2-year span from 2023, it's a 148% increase in proactive policing, which is what we want. We want our officers going to calls when we get calls, but when they're not having to answer calls, we want them to be proactive. We want them to be able to go out and engage with the community. Walk the beat. There again is the mandatory training that we have. As I said earlier, we're up to 48 hours. Also included in one of the jobs that we created, and we're just about a year into it, and I forgot to mention it, was our communication coordinator. We went from a sworn position to a civilian. One thing we felt as an organization is that we had to be better communicating not only internally but externally. Communication is key, and I'm happy to say that Shalomi, who is our communications coordinator, in 2024 we had about 2 million views on Facebook. Right now in 2025 we're over 17 million views, and that is significant. We need to get our messages out. We need to notify the public more on what's going on, what's working, what's not working, and it also builds that trust and transparency when we do communicate in that way. Community engagement. So as you heard me say, our proactive initiatives are driven by an evidence-based strategy. And I mean, what we really need to look at is using data to drive where we need to allocate our resources. Hotspots. Obviously, for those that haven't seen on social media, there has been an influx of people in the downtown core, and they are causing issues. And we are now putting a significant amount of resources downtown. We've increased patrols downtown on foot, on vehicle, and in fact, the way we work, as I said before, we have 14 officers. We have 14 zones right now. As of January, we're going to make that 15 zones, and downtown will be a beat. It was 29 years ago when I started. There's a lot of value for police officers to walk the beat, to engage with the community, stop into stores, stop into restaurants, say hi. And from an evidence-based policing perspective, that is probably the best way to prevent crime, is when you can be somewhere over a 10 or 15 minute period and be visible. That's what helps to deter crime. It also goes in line with the change in our vehicles. Our vehicles are much more visible than they were before. And that helps from evidence-based policing strategy. You look at community services and foot patrols. We've been talking about that a lot. This is all across the community, not just downtown Chatham. So in 2024, we had 900, and this year we're just about 2,200, so that's a 144% increase. Property checks, we're up again by over 90%, and compliance checks, which is typically individuals who are out on release, we'll go and check and make sure they're abiding by their conditions, and that is just over 8%. Our safety and crime prevention campaigns, like I said before, through Sergeant Rosina's group, we're up over almost 700 different community outreach programs. They just finished a fraud campaign. They're about to start a retail theft campaign as well. We spoke earlier about the Rubicon tool, which is key for us. And for those, I think you would have saw last year, we started the Citizens Police Academy again. That went off, it was a great hit. 30 people come, they work with us once a week for 12 weeks, and we'll be doing that again in 2026. I had Sarah make sure that Amanda knew we were putting her picture on here, and she swears she did. This is Amanda Blackburn. She is our health and wellness coordinator. And as I said before, the praise that we're getting from our members, what Amanda's doing for our people is really remarkable. She's started a reintegration program. She's expanded resources. She's a proactive outreach. She's busy. She's on the phone a lot. She's helping our members build resiliency, understand that it is a hard job, right? And give us the tools to be okay. She's enhanced our peer support, our chaplain program. And if you look now, our sick time has dropped 47% year over year since we've got A, more people, B, with Amanda. I can't say enough about what she's doing for our people. And where are we going? As per Deloitte, we're looking at increasing our officers in the patrol support unit, which is our traffic management. We're also looking at adding a body to our court services section to help with quality control of our briefs. As you can imagine, we have a very young police service, so there is some inexperience in there, so we need to put somebody in place to help with the quality control and give them the tools to make sure that they're doing a good job. We've heard loud and clear, not only from the community, but from our own members. We currently have a mobile crisis unit, Constable Rhoda and a nurse from the hospital patrol together, and that's been great. I think we've had that in place for almost 10 years now. What we're looking at doing is expanding that into a addiction response unit. So we will have a police officer with an addictions therapist from the hospital. We're looking at putting that in place hopefully within the first year, within January of the first year, or 2026. I think there's some definite value into that. I know Ed has done probably over 500 calls, mental health calls, with about 150 successful referrals. So our members are talking about it, our community is obviously talking about it, and that's something that we need to look at. Coming into 26, we're also looking at a complete review of our zone alignment. We haven't done that since 2015. We'll look at our population density, our calls for service, and where we need to allocate resources using our evidence-based policing strategy. We have our special constables pretty much right about now trained and out on patrol. It's not happening every day, but it's happening quite often. And we're also going to look at, in the new year, a tiered policing system. And what that means is looking at when do we have to have more officers available and working when our high call volume time kicks in. Usually it's anywhere through the week during the school year, probably about 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. we see a significant increase in our calls for service. So how do we get resources available during that time and not having them when they're not needed, so to speak? We're also, through Sarah, we've done this in our comm center, our key performance indicator framework. We're going to start to roll that out across the entire organization. That'll help with operational efficiency, our member growth. We need to drive improvements and empower our staff. It also builds some trust, not only internally but externally. And technology. Technology is key. Obviously, it can help with administrative burden, improve investigations, and it can enhance public safety. But I think you've heard me say this before, and I think I've heard some counselors say this before, no matter how much technology we have, we still have to have boots on the ground. No matter how much technology we put in place, technology will never be able to console a victim. We need officers to do that. So that's kind of where we're going. That's a quick overview. I thank you again for your support. I thank council. I thank the community, all of our community partners. I thank EMT. We've come a long ways from a collaboration standpoint. We work together a lot, and I think it's important. Especially, we do have some needs when it comes to infrastructure. You can imagine with this many people, we don't have a lot of room in our police station. But I'm working with St. Clair College we have a partnership with, and we use space. We have multiple locations across Chatham-Kent that we use. And we're also working with the CAO, fire, EMS to see what else we can do to partner together again to get some space. So I thank you again. And before I close, I do want to thank all of the members of Chatham-Kent Police Service. They are your sons and daughters. They do an amazing job. It's hard. It can be really hard at times. The amount of smiles I see and the laughter. So I think they're having some fun out there too, but they're working well together. And so kudos to them. Kudos to all our behind the scenes people, as our civilian staff. So thank you again for your support, and I'll end it there and entertain any questions.
Thank you, Chief Early. Councillor Scotchy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Chief Early, for attending. Full transparency, when I originally made this motion, it was back, I think, in June or July, prior to some of these. I'm not time-wise.
I was hoping you'd forget.
What's that? You know what? There was no. This wasn't about timing and bringing it back, but I just know that it does coincide with some challenges that you just mentioned in the downtown core. So I just wanted to ensure that by bringing that up, this wasn't in relation to that. This was planned well before then. You answered specifically a lot of the questions that I had when I brought this forward. It really was just to have some quantitative data to see, what all those new bodies, have done, and kind of see where that transition has left us. So one, I guess, really quick question I do have for you is that your numbers speak to the complexity of things that are transpiring, as well as the amount of calls and service and all that. But as someone who is from an outlier of Chatham, proper, I think it's fair to say that some of the councillors around the horseshoe in smaller areas are also starting to see those things come into to our smaller towns as well. And I think that I've heard a lot of positives in the summertime about the police walking the beat, so to speak, and the boots on the ground. And I did see a little bit of that in some of the smaller areas, including Erie-O, sometimes during the summertime. And I just wanted to see, as things, we hope that things don't transition to continuing the data that's supportive since I've been on council in 2018, but you're probably going to tell me in your expertise it's probably going to continue in the smaller areas despite hard work, just because of the social economic challenges. So what can we start to see in some of our smaller communities as well? Will some of these things that you've been doing in Chatham start to expand in some smaller towns now that you've got more things in place?
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you. Yeah, so when I talk about like community outreach, that's all of Chatham-Kent. So when Sergeant Rosina and her team go out, if they do something in Chatham, it's done in Blenheim or it's done in Ridgetown. So it is, those events are out there. When we look at the zone realignment that we're going to do next year, there's a bunch of different variables you have to look at. Population, calls for service, those are standard. Demographics. But then you also look at what's a community need, right? And do we need to put resources there during short periods of time, or, you know, Blenheim may need more. I've said many a times in a morning meeting with the senior staff, I'm like, you know, I don't know why we don't assign someone to Erio and Mitchell's Bay. I think their population's probably double from May 1st to October 1st. You know, I think, and maybe even Wheatley in there. I think that's what we really have to look at, because they might not have a lot of calls for service, but there's a significant amount of people in those areas that we need to look at allocating resources to that. So that's what I talk about as well when I talk about a tiered system. So we'll have our regular calls for service and our platoons, but then we have to figure out a way to how do we cover those areas as well. And I'm going to be honest, with the number of bodies we have right now, it will be a challenge. Because as I said, we're answering over 200 calls a day. So, but we do have some ideas. We're going to look at the data next year, but we're going to do some pilot projects next summer and just see how we can do and add those bodies to those areas.
Yeah, thank you. And the secondary reason for bringing it, I think that, you know, this is when we were really starting to see a lot of, you know, challenges when it comes to encampments in downtown and all that. And some of the content and context out there, because people get frustrated, is in regards to policing, is in regards to the municipality and how we're, you know, supporting those services. And I thought it was really important to also bring to attention how much human resources that we brought, you know, in this the previous budget, as well as financial aspects to ensure that you have more tools and resources, you know, at hand. And then just in closing, you know, I've passed some challenges on to you that I've received in my community, and people bring them to us. And the important part is, as you mentioned, is to ensure that they're directing them to the proper resources, because when something happens, us bringing it to you is third party, and you want to ensure that you're investigating it thoroughly, and those are all documented. So, you know, I really appreciate you adding into the presentation the importance of contacting the police. And I just want to say I really appreciate the boots on the ground. I think it's been wonderful seeing downtown, going down at nighttime, seeing people walk around in our small communities as well. And I really think that the money that the municipality invested in their resources, providing them to you, has been, you know, as the data quantifies, as a significant investment in not just our community, but to our people. So thank you for all you guys and women continue to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Scotchy. Councillor Crew, followed by Councillor Story.
Madam Chair. Thank you, Chief. That was being on the board. I know what we're doing, but when you put it all here in this slide, I was like, holy cow, no wonder you're busy. I want to just say that from a board level, we're really proud of the work and the growth that this police service has under Chief Early and his predecessors, but under Chief Early and with this Deloitte audit really gave us the tools we needed to come to council and say, like, this is what we need to police our community. And we're really proud of the work they're doing, but proud of the work that council did to allow that financial investment in our police service, who are people and our sons and daughters. And he's, you know, sons and daughters, they're actually some of our, they look like our grandkids, to tell you the truth. They're our community of young men and women. They've had a huge, significant impact, and this is only going to set the bar for moving forward in our community. So you've done a great job, Chief and team, everyone. But I want to just say thank you, and like Councillor Sakachi alluded to, call. When you're not interrupting, it's part of their job. Just make those calls. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crew. Councillor Story?
The update. I learned a lot from reading this through and where we stand right now. I also appreciate the timing, although I know it wasn't, as Councillor Sakachi said, it was just coincidence that this came this month, but we're in the middle of the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. And we recently recognized the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women last week, and I appreciated seeing the police in attendance at that. I was wondering, Chief, when we look at the CKPS annual crime snapshot, it looks like the gender-based and intimate partner violence occurrences are trending lower the last 5 years slightly, which is, I hope, good news. But the actual numbers are in most times 3 to 5 times higher than the next highest classification. For example, it looks like there's 1,740 occurrences of IPV versus the next highest category of 581 for assault. Could you maybe expand a little bit on the resources that you and your teams are addressing or implementing to address gender-based violence in our community?
Thank you, through Madam Chair. Thank you, Councillor, for the question. And I think I'd like to start off by saying I believe that intimate partner violence is probably underreported. I think that number is probably much higher. What we're looking at is, when we talk about the vulnerable persons unit and the general investigators, is it enhancing the investigative ability so that we can assist our frontline officers for when we do have an in-depth intimate partner violence investigation, to have them involved from the get-go. I think it's a positive step forward, because I do know that our members on the road get very stressed, so to speak, when they have to take on a significant investigation like that, because they want to do what's right for the victim. So we have to make sure that as an organization, we put those resources in place for them. So I'm looking forward to some of the results. I do think I'll probably be coming back to you in a year and explaining that we've expanded the crime unit even more into an intimate partner violence unit. I foresee that coming. I think what we're going to get from the vulnerable persons unit and then general investigators will help us gauge that, but I do think that's where it's trending to.
Thank you, Chief. I would look forward to seeing that unit as well. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Chief. You know, I'm a massive supporter of our police services, and I'm really, really happy to see everything that has been done, and I'm happy to support any future needs of the police unit as well.
Thank you again, Council. Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, thank you to all the members of the CKPS. Have a good night.
Moving on to Development Services, 19B, IESO LT2 RFP, request for municipal support by APA Power Canada. We have a presentation, but I'll hand it over to Bruce first.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So we have two proponents here tonight, and we'll deal with them on an individual basis. They'll give a short presentation, and then council can ask any questions of the developer, and then subsequently of administration. Just as a little background, this is two proponents looking for municipal support resolutions for what they refer to as reliability projects and the ISO's long-term 2 procurement program. So council, and some will recall, a couple months ago we were here for projects that were energy focused. These are what are referred to as capacity projects that can potentially provide stability and reliability to our grid. So we're talking battery energy storage and potentially natural gas type projects. The two here tonight are for battery energy storage projects. So I'll call up on IPA Power first, and Mr. Andre Benchik will give the presentation.
You just need to put your mic on.
Good evening, Madam Chair, councilors, Madam Clerk, members of the staff, and members of the public. My name is Andre Benjig. I'm Director of Development at IPA Power Canada, and I am grateful to have an opportunity to come and present tonight. I am here tonight to present a proposal to site 2 battery energy storage projects in Chatham-Kent municipality for your consideration and support to be able to advance these projects into the competitive IESO long-term 2 capacity procurement. These projects, should they be selected, they will go through rigorous approval and municipal permitting projects after that. Before I go into the projects, I'd like to spend a few minutes to give you a brief overview of IPA Power Canada. IPA Power Canada was founded in Toronto in 2018, and it's been developing and operating battery energy storage projects to build more resilient communities and to support the grid reliability for Ontario electricity system. Since its foundation, IPA has become one of the world's largest battery energy storage independent power producers, with over 80 projects currently under development, construction, and operations across North America, out of which 25 are in Ontario. And of those 25, 2 projects have been selected by the ISO in the previous long-term one procurement, and are scheduled to advance into construction as early as this month. We are proud to be serving the Canadian grid, economy, and workforce by strengthening energy independence with investing over $600 million in energy infrastructure projects across southwestern Ontario, by investing in a strong Canadian supply chain with approximately 82% of the LT1 project's costs being contracted to Canadian goods and services, and powering local jobs by creating over 400 construction jobs that are powered by Canadian Union of Skilled Workforce. IPA Power design and operation principles are guided by strong community engagement, with conducting ongoing community outreach, local information sessions, proactive information sharing, and strong Indigenous consultation. By respectful design, the projects are thoughtfully designed to align with local community values, such as including large setbacks to protect the neighbors from disturbance, and integrating visual screening to preserve cultural heritage, also implementing avoidance and mitigation measures to protect the environment, as well as best-in-class safety approach, where the projects will meet all the local, provincial, federal, and international safety standards, have 24/7 site monitoring, and they will have project-specific emergency response plans.
You don't have to lean if you just stand back.
Oh, thank you.
That sounds better.
That helps with my lower back, thanks. What I'd like to show on the screen is 2 similar projects that we are proposing to Chatham-Kent municipality. One on the left side is Elora Bess in Center Wellington Township, and one on the right side is Headley Bess in Haldimand County. These projects are both 210 megawatt in size. They are just coming out of 2-year-long environmental approval and municipal permitting process, and they're scheduled to start the construction in December. What you see on these pictures is implementation of our guiding principles in design, such as large setbacks and extensive visual screening to protect community aesthetics. Also, what you see is that these projects usually have a small footprint. Both of these are sited on approximately of 12 acres of land. So the first project that we are proposing to be sited in Chatham-Kent municipality is Queens Line Reliability Project, which is up to 500 megawatt battery energy storage system located in industrial zone land west of Chatham. This project will have enough capacity to power approximately 150,000 homes every day for 8 hours, and it will avoid emissions equal to those produced by approximately 125,000 passenger vehicles every year. The project is proposed to be sited at the northeast corner of Queens Line and Dillon Road on approximately 33 acres of land. The land will be leased from the private landowner, and after the project is completed its operation life cycle, the project will be decommissioned, and IPA is committed to restore the land to its original use. We have conducted multiple surveys and studies on site already, completed in October, including environmental constraint analysis, phase 1 environmental site assessment, and preliminary geotech surveys. And should this project be selected, it will go through comprehensive class environmental assessment and environmental compliance approval for stormwater management process, as well as it will comply with any municipal zoning or official plan amendment as required, and it will require site plan approval and building permits before it can be constructed. The project will be fully developed, operated, and owned by IPA, whom is investing approximately $700 million into the project. The second project that we propose to site in Chatham-Kent is Bloomfield Reliability Project, which is up to 200 megawatt battery energy storage project located in the Bloomfield Business Park, south of Chatham. This project is proposed to be sited at 7667th Line West on approximately 21 acres of land. Again, it will be leased, and after its operation, the project will be decommissioned, and land will be restored back to its original use and returned back to the landowner. Same with this project, we have conducted the same preliminary surveys and studies as for the Queens Line Reliability Project, and it will be subjected to extensive environmental approvals and municipal permitting if selected. And this project too will be fully developed, owned, and operated by IPA, and will be an investment of roughly 350 million Canadian dollars. So the environmental constraint analysis that we completed in October confirmed to us the requirements for natural heritage, noise, and archaeology. For Queens Line Reliability Project, we will require Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority permit, and we will either have to maintain 120 meter setback from sensitive natural features, or we will have to conduct environmental impact study due to the potential of the wildlife habitat, mainly in the municipal drains around that area, Bullis Creek, Sarita, and Huff Drain branches, as well as a small woodland east of the site and the railway corridor. We have also confirmed no sensitive receptors like homes within 500 feet of the project. However, we are committed to implement any noise mitigation measures to comply with Ontario noise regulations. And also, we have confirmed no known archaeological concerns, and we'll go through stage 1 and 2 archaeology assessment to confirm the site. The Bloomfield Reliability Project has low potential for significant wildlife habitat, but again, it will maintain a minimum 120 meter setback from sensitive natural features due to the potential of general wildlife habitat surrounded the Genetis Creek and the hedgerow around the Genetis Creek. We have also confirmed no sensitive receptors within 700 feet of the project and are committed to implement any noise mitigation measures to comply with Ontario noise regulations. And similarly, no known archaeological concerns in the area, and we are committed to conduct stage 1 and 2 assessment to confirm the entire site. The preliminary geotech survey we completed in October confirms the subsurface conditions. So for Queens Line Reliability Project, we have conducted 6 borehole test drills across the site, and the subsurface profile looks like a sandy silt fill to up to 1.5 meter depth. Then it transitions into silty clay from 1.5 meter to about 4.5 meters, and then into more of a wet silt and clay to about 10.5 meters, and then to firm, stiff clay to about 15 or 16 meters approximately. The Bloomfield, we have conducted 2 borehole tests. At the first one, again, sandy silt similar to about 1.5 meter and continues into a firm clay to about 7 meter depth, and the second borehole to about 8 meter depth. What's important here from this preliminary geotech survey is that none of these boreholes have reached something called refusal limit. And typically that happens when the boreholes hit the bedrock, which means we have not reached the bedrock with these boreholes, which is confirmed for us that we are not in a sensitive bedrock area. And just for information, these depths that we tested the site to are well beyond the foundation depths that we require for the project. And my final slide here before I open up for questions is IPA's committed to investing into Chatham-Kent municipality through employment creation, where approximately 200 to 300 temporary full-time construction jobs will be created during the construction of each project, and approximately 6 full-time positions during the operation and maintenance term, as well as we are committed to engage with local employment professional associations and labor unions to maximize local hiring. Local business growth, where we will engage with local vendors and contractors to extend local bid opportunities and provide access to employment and contracts to service the site during its life cycle. And also strong community contribution, where IPA Power is committed to contribute annually $4,000 per megawatt of the contract capacity directly to the municipality, starting from the commercial operation date for the term of the project. And this translates to approximately $2.5 million of contribution per year if we are selected for both projects' target sizes. And in addition to that, there will be revenue generated through the property tax uplift on those properties. Thank you very much for your time. I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Andre. Any questions? Councillor Doyle, did you have? Or is Councillor Story available?
I think she's available. I was just going to say a couple questions for her, but she's been
Councillor
online,
Story? So. Oh. Councillor Doyle?
You can go to somebody else if they have any questions first while I find these.
Councillor Dupamel?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. Just a couple questions. On the Queens line, it's zoned rural industrial, and then the Bloomfield is zoned A1 agricultural. So the Queens line is not on farmland, am I understanding that correctly?
Thank you for your question, Councillor Juvenile, through you. So the land is zoned industrial, you understand that correctly?
Yes.
And it is currently worked as agricultural, but it is zoned industrial, yes.
Okay, so it's being farmed right now, but it's not zoned
Correct.
that way? Okay, and why on the Queens line did you bore 6 times, and on Bloomfield did you only bore 2 times to go down?
Yeah, thank you again for your question, through you. So it's significantly larger site. It's almost 3 times the size of the project, of the Bloomfield reliability project, so this is the main reason. Yeah.
And if, I know things have probably evolved, but if there's ever an event, a fire, what measures are put in place to mitigate a fire? Because from what I know, and I don't know, things may have changed, that fires cannot be extinguished at these storage facilities. So what does happen in the case of a fire?
Okay, thank you for your question, appreciate it. Through you, Madam Chair. So I could touch at the high level what the intervention looks like. We did have an information session with the fire services on September 15th and had very in-depth discussion, and we had brought professional fire safety personnel to those sessions, and we will continue with these sessions to ultimately create a site-specific emergency response plan. At a high level, you are correct. The intervention of the highly unlikely fire event is actually to contain the surroundings and let that particular container burn out. And this is why these facilities are designed in such a fashion, modular, with containers that are regulated in terms of separation distances from each other by fire safety standards to prevent any propagation of the fire.
Okay, so but there's really not a way to extinguish it, really, is there? Or
The intervention is, in fact, not to extinguish it. It's
Oh,
to
okay.
protect the surroundings.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Doyle?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. Okay, first, so just back to the boring. I noticed as well for Queen's Line, you went down 15 meters, 14 meters, and for Bloomfield, you only went down 7. What was the reason for only going down half as far? Is it because of the size difference in the two, or what would be the difference there?
Yeah, thank you for your question and good observation. Correct. It's the size and the fact that the substation will actually not be on the site. It will be slightly aside from the project because we have a potential for short connection line going to the main transmission line. So generally, substation is considered the heaviest load in a facility where that 15-meter borehole was required on a Queens line.
Okay, thank you very much. So that was my question. I have 2 questions from Councillor Story, who her connection has failed. She doesn't know when she'll be able to jump back on. The first one's similar to Councillor Juvenville's, but Councillor Story wanted to know with regards to fire safety and any related groundwater implications, whether from fire suppression, suppression. You know what I mean, impacts, or the project as a whole.
Thank you for your question, Councillor, through you, Madam Chair. If it's okay, we actually have a fire professional here with us. Is it possible that he answered that question?
Yeah,
So I'd
yes,
like to
please.
bring James to the stage.
Thank you, and thank you very much. Just a little brief background. My name is James Caulfield. I work for a company called Fire Risk Alliance. It's a fire and engineering firm. I like to be very clear, I'm a firefighter, not a fire engineer. I have over 22 years of experience in the fire service, and I travel all over the world teaching firefighters on their responses to these events. So very familiar with what the response looks like. So thank you for your question, and through you. We have data that there is there haven't been any type of documented incidents or data to show anything going into the soil after an event has occurred. So I have the information if you'd like, I'd be glad to share with you, but there is nothing that we're seeing.
Okay, that's good. So just, I guess, my own question for that. So who would be doing training for, say, the volunteer firefighters or Chatham firefighters that would be going to those locations should there be a fire? Go ahead.
So that is something that we handle, working hand in hand with IPA.
Okay, awesome. And the second question from Councillor Story, she just said, this is around the Bloomfield proposed site, as it is close proximity to the Highway 401. That stretch of highway is supposed to be undergoing major renovation work in the coming years, including a rebuilding and realigning of the on and off ramps. Perhaps at the same time, your project would be being built, if approved. Has that possibility and any related impacts been taken into consideration?
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, we are well aware of the construction plans there by the ministry. We have already made adjustments around those circumstances. For instance, we no longer require site access from the north 7th line. We will be accessing the site from the 8th line from the south, as an example. However, we will be conducting a traffic impact assessment to make sure we don't interfere with those construction plans and processes in place.
Okay, thank you very much.
Maybe. Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe I can elaborate to that a little bit. So I believe there's actually a report on the next council meeting from IES with an update on the proposed work going on at the interchange there with the specific schedule. But this particular property actually is, if you've been out there lately, is right. They took the frontage off this property already, MTO, for the 7th line realignment. So there'll be no more Cloverleaf or work within this particular property as part of this interchange work, but timing-wise, there will be construction going on for the next couple of years on the interchange, but they've got a year or two of permitting and approvals to get through as well on their project afterwards. So, and maybe just just for clarification, whether this parcel is designated business park, it is privately owned. It's not part of our municipally owned Bloomfield Business Park, but it's right next to it. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the answers as well.
Thank you.
Councillor Harrigan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, I have one question to the presenter and then another one to our CFO. So first, can you please tell me what made Chatham-Kent so attractive to APA for these specific locations?
Thank you, Councillor Harrigan. Through you. Yes, we have conducted a very comprehensive site selection process consisting of multiple phases. The first phase is guidance by the IESO on which transmission lines have the available capacity to accept these type of projects. And then the subsequent phases go into land use assessments, make sure that we don't site the project near residential areas, as well as on agricultural land, avoid impact on agricultural land. So all that led us into educated decision to site it where we are proposing these sites to be sited. For a little bit more context, the Queens Line reliability project site has new transmission lines that are going through that site actually. And those transmissions lines are basically uncongested, so to speak, because they're new, so they're close to perfect from electrical perspective to interconnect. And then the Bloomfield being in a designated business park was one of the key reasons why we decided to site it there. Yeah.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that. I imagine that you are looking for locations and places that would be the most successful for you, which in turn, because of the community agreement that we would be proposing going forward, is also the most successful for us. So my next question is to our CFO. So in the report, there's a note that, of course, assuming maximum capacity is reached, there could be an annual payment of just over $2.6 million, which would result over the course of 20 years of $53,200,000 to be used for community purposes. Is that money that we had budgeted for or anticipated for in just the last week's budget conversations?
Thank you, Acting Mayor. No, because this is just right now an application process that they're going through. They have to go until they get approval and start construction. We won't be planning on any of this, but it just shows the great community benefit that may be available.
Wonderful, thank you. And I really want to emphasize that I see that community benefit as being very significant, especially considering that we just went through budget and we all know very well what those needs are for our community. So I will be supporting this. Acting Mayor, if you need somebody to move the motion forward, if we can get the text on, I'm happy to make that motion.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Harrigan. Do we have a seconder?
I'll second it.
Councillor McGregor, thanks. Councillor Scotchy?
My question is pretty simplistic. In both reports from this company and the one next, both of them refer to commercial operation. So I'm guessing that's when you actually start to buy and sell the power or storing power. Is that accurate? An accurate assumption? In both the reports, it says commercial operation. So that basically means when the site is ready, it's actually functioning before we start to see any community benefits.
Thank you for your question, Councillor. Through you, Madam Chair. Let me see if I understood the question. The question is whether it's for commercial operation because of power being purchased and sold. And was there a second part of the question if the community benefits start after commercial operation date? Is that sort of twofold question?
Yeah, in the report, it states very specifically that the annual community benefits wouldn't begin until commercial operations, which is anticipated in mid-2028. So maybe that the question is the CFO, would there still be some community benefits in regards to, or it would be kind of similar to CIP almost until they're actually functioning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, it's designed, the community benefits would start at commercial operations. So when the project starts, exactly as you defined it, when it's constructed and is operational, yeah, is when the payments will start.
Just wanted to understand that from a timing perspective. That's it for me. Thank you.
Councillor Dubinville?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. Can we separate them and vote on them separately?
Sorry, the
Thank
two
you.
reports?
No, sorry, like Queens Line and Bloomfield.
Okay.
Can they be separate? I'm just struggling with agricultural land being used.
For clarity on that question as well, the Bloomfield, why it still carries an agricultural zoning, it's designated as industrial or business park, so it's not any different than Queens Line. They technically are both actively farmed, but they're planned for industrial use in the future. Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, so the owner of that property is aware that it's zoned that way. Have they been approached about this project?
Yes, the owners are, they've entered into agreements with the owners. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dubinville?
It's fine. Leave them together. It's okay.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, we will put it to vote.
Councillor Finn? Councillor Finn, are you there? She must not be there. All votes are in. Motion passes 14-0. Next item is 19B, IESO LT2 RFP, request for municipal support by 2578818 Alberta ULC, Firma Energy, and Interjex Renewable Energy, Inc. And again, I will pass it over to Bruce McAllister.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So this project is by Firma Energy and Interjex, a combined project in just a couple kilometers east of Wallaceburg on Baseline, right next to the Wallaceburg transformer station, which has just been refurbished as part of the new St. Clair transmission project. So with that, I'm going to introduce Mike Brugge and Annie, sorry, Annie, I forgot your last name. Merritt from Interjex.
Sorry, just push the button for the microphone right in the middle. Great.
Yeah, thank you so much. My name is Mike Brugge. I'm here representing Firma Energy, and with me is Annie Merritt from Interjex Renewables. Firma is an Ontario-based solar and energy storage developer, and we specialize in early stage development, including siting, land negotiations, community engagement, and permitting. To be clear, for this project, we've brought Interjex as a partner to prepare the ISO bid, and they would be the constructor and long-term operator of the project. So I'll let Annie speak a little bit quickly about Interjex.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Council, for having us this evening. My name is Annie Merritt. I'm with Interjex Renewable Energy. My role is the Senior Specialist for Community and Government Relations. If you haven't heard of us before, we are also a Canadian-based company. Our head office is in Longueuil, just outside of Montreal. We've got about 30 years plus under our belt now, quite experienced in the area of renewables. And we have a number of projects here in Ontario, but the one that you're going to learn about today would be, if approved, our first battery energy storage, but not the first in our portfolio. Thank you for your time.
We've also partnered with the Cadwell First Nation, who's entered as an equity partner on the development. So we understand that council has experience with BEST systems, so I don't want to take too much time explaining process or technology, but essentially Ontario overproduces power during the evenings because of our fleet of nuclear and wind projects, and these types of projects, BEST projects, store that power and then release it to the province when it needs it during peak times. So the project on the screen there is the Sandhill BESS. It's up to a 500 megawatt BESS system located on a 100-acre parcel on Baseline Road, just east of Wallaceburg. This is an ideal location for this project because of the proximity to the newly constructed high voltage lines that are in construction as we speak. The project would only sit on approximately 30 to 40 acres of that land. And the drawing that you see is just an early concept of what the project could look like. The land itself is very flat. It's currently being farmed, and there are no known environmental concerns or sensitivities. These are some of the potential benefits for the community. I think we'd just like to highlight as well, we are on board with the community benefit agreement of 4,000 a megawatt as well, which could wind up being $2 million per year in additional funding above and beyond any taxation. So we're currently in the first stage of this project. We're planning to bid the ISO procurement in December. This shows a bit of a timeline. So if successful, we move into planning and permitting. Following a successful win, the bids are being awarded in June of 2026. During planning and permitting phase, we would do provincial and municipal permitting. That includes the MTF Class EA for the province, as well as planning permit zoning amendments for the municipality. And then, of course, the Hydro One and ISO connection studies. Beyond that, construction takes about a year to a year and a half, and right now we're kind of targeting 2028 as well for early operations, but that could stretch as late as 2030. So to date, Firm Energy and Intergex Renewables have conducted multiple engagement sessions with various stakeholders over the past several months, including the municipality, the local fire department, local First Nation groups, Conservation Authority, and the local community. As part of our community engagement, we hosted an open house on July 21st at the Knights of Columbus. We heard a lot of general questions around, why here and how does it work? And we plan to continue engagement throughout as we do project updates, so throughout the project. We're here to ask for municipal support in the form of a resolution. We want to highlight that it does not interfere with the normal permitting process, including the planning permit with the municipality and any zoning amendments that might be needed. So thank you very much for your time, and we welcome any questions you might have.
Thank you, Mike and Andy. Annie, any questions, comments from anyone? Councilor Dumoulin.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. Thank you. Just wondering, you mentioned that you had reached out to local Indigenous communities. Have you reached out to Walpole Island First Nation?
I can speak to that. Yes, we have. It's still early days, but what we have been making an effort to do is keep lines of communication open. In working with Caldwell Island First Nation, they're our primary partner at this stage. However, they've been very much on the same page with us around having that open line and opportunity to onboard with other First Nations at a later date.
I'm only asking because I don't think that they were mentioned in your report. Walpole Island First Nation?
That might have been an oversight, so apologies. We have been in touch just this fall.
Okay.
Response has been a little slower, which is why we're working with Caldwell.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do I have someone to move this? Councilor McGregor?
I'll move the recommendation.
And Councillor Hall, second. Thank you. We will put it to vote.
Councillor Finn? Councillor Finn, are you there? All votes are in. Motion passes 13-1.
Thank you.
Moving on to Chief Administrative Office, 20A, follow-up report of Mary Ellen Bench regarding Councillor Jubenville. I just wanted to take a minute to remind council and the public that council is required under the Municipal Act to consider and make a determination as penalty in response to the IC report that it is receiving in open session today. Thank you.
Councillor Hall, can I get you to put this on?
Yes, Madam Acting Mayor Anderson, I would move the recommendation in the report that Councillor Jubenville's remuneration be suspended for a period of 2 months as the Integrity Commissioner considers the breach of Section 15 to be the most significant breach of the code, as the bullying and abuse significantly impacted members of the public, staff, and members of council. And if I get a seconder, Madam Acting Mayor, I have a few questions for administration.
Councillor Crew?
Thank you. So just a few questions for administration. First, in terms of the financial implications, how much has this situation cost the municipality of Chatham-Kent since it started? And what's the breakdown in terms of court costs, legal fees, staff time, et cetera? Basically, what does this cost the taxpayers?
I'll refer to Emily here.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Emily Crawford, Director of Legal Services. So the cost to the municipality, I did check what the municipality has incurred in external legal costs. And so the total, this file is closed now, and the total cost is $188,622.67. Now that does not include, there is a cost award, a $20,000 cost award on the divisional court matter. That has yet to be paid only because the way that court process works is we need to wait for the court to issue that order. Once the municipality receives that, then those costs will also be paid.
Thank you, Emily. And how, in terms of that $180,000 plus, how has that total cost been paid by the municipality?
Yes, thank you for the question. So that cost is paid out of the municipality's insurance reserve.
Okay, thank you. I know we just finished budget and we talked a lot about reserves and during that time and replenishing them year after year. So, you know, where would have those costs, I guess, would they have showed up in the budget that we just recently completed, and how would we replenish that reserve?
So perhaps Mr. Quinton can speak to that.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. So that's part of, we always look at reserve balances. There was an adjustment down in insurance in general because of a premium came in lower than expected. So, but it's all in the insurance analysis that's done by the legal department every year heading into those budget updates.
Thank you, Gord. And just in terms of transparency, I guess, so where would this breakdown in costs appear for the public? Judy, I know you do kind of an annual report which breaks down, you know, council's pay, expenses, committee expenses, that sort of thing. So would this information, I guess, and that annual report, would that be an appropriate place to provide details, not only for this, but situations like this that arise in the future? And I guess, would you need direction from council for that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So currently, yes, we prepared the report that you're speaking of where we have council breakdown of their pay, expenses, et cetera. We also have an annual report from the Integrity Commissioner, and I feel that maybe that might be the better place if council was wanting any such expenses to be broken down into that report under the financial section. So if you wanted to make a motion to direct staff to report out any legal cost or court costs that may incur as a result of the Integrity Commissioner, we can include that in the report.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Judy. I won't convolute things tonight, but maybe I'll work on a notice of motion or something. So thank you for the responses. I appreciate the information and the answers, and having that information, you know, for the public to have. I'm in support of the recommendation that's before us this evening. As Judy mentioned earlier, I think that's it's our mandated role as council to make decisions on the penalty in an integrity commissioner's report. And when looking at this full report and the details, I think the recommended penalty is warranted. Thank you.
Councillor Bondy.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. Yeah, so I'm not going to support this. I didn't support it the first time. So I'm not going to go on about this. We've beat this thing up for many minutes, maybe hours over the course of several years. So I'll leave it there. I'll just suggest that if this fails, I have a motion prepared that I guess we won't hear until after we vote on this one. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments from anyone? Councillor Doyle.
Thank you, Acting Mayor. I agree with Councillor Bondy. I will not be supporting this either. As I didn't support it the first time, I don't think her remuneration should be taken away. So I can't support this. Thank you.
Sorry, just for clarification, what are we exactly voting for now? Because I know there's been some misconceptions within the public. So this, can someone just clarify exactly what we're voting on here and what a yes would mean and what a no would mean?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Madam Chair. So council tonight is strictly deliberating on the appropriate penalty based on the divisional court's ruling around there being a single breach of the code. So that's what's before council for consideration.
And Madam Chair, if I'll maybe just add to that, Dave Taylor, Deputy CAO. So when this matter first came to council, there was a finding by council of penalty, and it was 3 months. That was then ordered by the court to be reconsidered, and the Integrity Commissioner has recommended 2 months, which is the motion before you. So the net result, if council were to do this, is not an additional 2 months. It would actually be a repayment of 1 month. Just wanted to make sure that that was clear to council.
Thank you. And just to further clarify, we are not voting on whether there was a breach of the code. We are just voting on whether the penalty suggested is appropriate or not.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Dupin-Bell.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. And just for full transparency, I reached out to the Acting Mayor to ask her if I could speak a little bit longer, and she has so graciously granted that. And I am speaking because I do not believe this report is fulsome, with including all of the pertinent information that is needed for council to make an educated decision in this matter. So thank you. So I appreciate this is going to be a little bit longer than 5 minutes, but I'll try to make it quick. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on what I might say has been a long, exhausting, drawn-out affair that, in my opinion, is based on subjective and biased views of Integrity Commissioner Mary Ellen Bench. The report provided to council and the public is also filled with inaccuracies and exclusions. Because of the details of this ongoing report, judicial review, and revised report, many people, including some on council and in the public, are confused with all the finite details of the occurrences of what has led to this outcome today. I will try to encapsulate what has transpired in a summary. Ms. Bench has alleged that I breached Section 15 of the Municipal Code of Conduct. I disagree. I did not or would not abuse, bully, or intimidate a member of council, a member of staff, or a member of the public. Also, the divisional court did not exactly uphold Ms. Bench's decision on my breaching Section 15 of the Code of Conduct. The judicial review panel used the following words verbatim regarding the Section 15 breach of code. The judicial review of the Integrity Commissioner's report is granted, although the finding of the applicant breached Section 15 of the code was reasonable. The finding that the applicant breached Section 10 of the code was unreasonable. When Ms. Bench alleges that the divisional court upholds her findings that I breached the Section 15 of the code, the judicial panel merely found the alleged breach to be reasonable. It doesn't state her findings to be definite or absolute. In the Black's Law Dictionary, reasonable is defined as fair, proper or moderate under the circumstances, implying a standard that is flexible and context dependent rather than fixed. It is an objective standard, meaning a court would consider the specific circumstances to determine if an action was reasonable rather than the person's intent. The court did not, without some consideration of my intentions, find this breach to be an absolute. Ms. Bench alleges that I breached the code at 3 different times. I will walk through these quickly, including information that Ms. Bench has excluded from this report. First, a municipal staff-sanctioned healing event was organized by some staff in order to respond to the impact felt by staff because of my neutral flag motion that failed and never targeted any community groups. The only flags mentioned in the motion of neutrality were the municipal, provincial, and federal flags. No other flags or groups were mentioned. Unfortunately, some community groups misconstrued my motion and turned it around against me, and then went so far as to target my political actions with a healing event in response to my motion, sanctioned by the very municipality that I serve. The email invite to the healing event was sent to most of Chatham-Kent staff at all levels. I was forwarded the email by 4 different staff members who interpreted this healing event as another targeted act on my political actions. When I learned of the email and the event, I then posted on social media asking people to please stop targeting me and my motion and please move on. The motion failed. I moved on and merely wanted everyone else to do the same. But unfortunately, it continued. I immediately contacted our manager of HR at the time. I'm sure if asked, she would confirm that I was shaken, saddened, and perplexed as to why the municipality that I serve would do this to me. She suggested that a meeting be held between myself and the staff members who orchestrated the healing event and sent that email out. I eagerly agreed, as I truly wanted to put all of this behind me. It had gone too far. The meeting ensued with our CAO, Michael Dubin, the staff member's partner, the staff member's manager, and myself. In the meeting, both sides aired our grievances and helped the other party to understand their thoughts and intentions. I felt the meeting to be productive and constructive. I have had little to zero communication with this staff member since the event, other than an email that the staff member may have sent on behalf of their manager. I moved on, and I assume the staff member did as well. But here we are with it included in this report. Ms. Bench is claiming that I called out pride-based community groups for holding healing events. I have never called out anyone or any groups for having any events. They have a right to do so, They have a right to do just that, and I will always defend their rights to hold events. They have whether I agree with their ideologies or not. Ms. Bench has provided no proof that I called out any community group because of their affiliation, but what I did do is defend myself from targeted attacks from a community group on my failed flag motion. There is a big difference which Ms. Bench fails to recognize. The second incident involved an email that was sent to all of Chatham-Kent Council by a private citizen, but this person excluded me from the email. I will call the private citizen X. In the email, X conveyed untruths, libel, and misinformation about me. X referred to me as ultra-right radical, narrow-minded, backwards thinking, ultra-conservative, and that I wanted to prevent marginalized communities like the LGBTQ from being represented. X indicated that I shared this with them in a previous private conversation months prior. Ms. Bench has failed to include this email in the report. Other than the well-known fact that I am indeed a conservative, everything else X has stated in this email is untrue, and X has no receipts to back up their accusations. The fact that I was excluded from the email indicates that X didn't want me to see it or be able to defend myself. Thankfully, a couple of my colleagues sent the email to me once they realized I was purposely excluded. Yes, I once again took to social media to tell people what yet another person was speaking falsely about me. It was a brief, factual post. X, who I'm not friends with on social media, heard about the post and within 15 minutes reached out to me to ask me to remove
to remove the post, which I did immediately. When we proceeded in an in-depth private text message conversation, we proceeded in a private text message conversation. Ms. Bench has only included my portion of the text messages and has failed to include X's portion of the text engagement. In the end, I made it clear that X has a right to have an opinion and subscribe to any different ideology that X chooses, but I stated that X does not have the right to spread lies about me to my colleagues. X apologized to me and asked if I would accept an apology emailed to council, which I thought was humble and gracious of them, and I accepted. X sent council an email of apology and included me. I have never had any interactions with X again beyond that time. Lastly, the final incident involves a social media post that no longer exists and is included in this report and is not included in this report, where I used some councillors' initials while defending myself. The councillors had taken to their own social media to share their opinions or feelings of my flag motion that were not favorable to me. I defended myself on my own social media. I was contacted by Ms. Bench, who asked me to remove the post. I did. I asked her to ask the councillors to also remove their comments. I can't say for certain if that ever indeed happened. Since April of 2023, I have been met with some disapproval from some community members who think I am against them because of the propaganda, rhetoric, and untruths that have been shared by some members of the media, some staff, some colleagues, and some members of the public. I have seen assaults on my character on social media by these very people. I have refrained from defending myself any further. I was ready to move on and hoped that these people would soon follow. Ironically, I have met some wonderful people in the communities that I supposedly have bullied, harassed, and abused. I'm sure if asked, these numerous individuals would confirm that I have served them as a counselor with the utmost kindness, respect, and without any bias or prejudice. Since April of 23, it has been very trying at times. I've received wishes of death, attacks on my character, and accusations that I am anti-LGBTQ. Just as my legal counsel stated during the judicial review, I have been the one who has been bullied, harassed, and abused, but sanctioned when trying to defend myself. To be clear, I am pro-human, no matter gender, sexual orientation, race, ethnicity, etc. I am pro-Chatham-Kent as a unified municipality where these divisions should not exist on municipal property. I believe in neutrality on government properties. Unfortunately, my views are less popular around this horseshoe, but that doesn't mean that I'm not entitled to have them. Keeping in mind, I represent a vast amount of people who live here. Ms. Bench is framing this report to be about freedom of speech, but I believe it goes much deeper into ideological bias and prejudice from an integrity commissioner to a municipal councillor who presents a complete political and ideological opposite. Council, please also keep in mind that this integrity commissioner initial report was quashed by the divisional court, and this integrity commissioner was not rehired by our municipality. Both of these items should be red flags. I hope that council will support me this time around and not support this motion. I realize the political climate was charged for many reasons back in 2023. Perhaps some of you understand things differently now. Perhaps you understand me differently now. I would like to finally move on as a unified council, get back to working on the important issues in Chatham-Kent, and put all of this behind us once and for all. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Again, just to clarify, we are not voting on the actual report. We are voting on the penalties suggested.
Councillor Finn?
No.
All votes are in. Motion passes 9-5. And the last report of the evening is motion by Councillor B. McGregor regarding public meeting with MPs and MPPs.
Councillor McGregor.
Thank you. I'll briefly read my motion. It's pretty short. Whereas Windsor recently hosted a public session involving council members and local MPPs and MPs, and whereas Chatham-Kent remains focused on transparency and building relationships with other levels of government, therefore be it resolved that Chatham-Kent Council and the Mayor invite our local MPs and MPPs to a public meeting with Chatham-Kent Council and the Mayor to discuss current issues within our municipality to enhance collaborative efforts.
Seconder?
Thank you. Motion's pretty straightforward. I pulled it just because I wanted to highlight the request. I thought it was really innovative that Windsor had this meeting. Frankly, I was surprised that they were able to get the participation they did, which I think is a great step in their municipality. They've said they're going to try and do them annually. I think it's a great step for us. I know around this table, we often talk about some of the struggles that we face because we're so dependent on provincial funding for things like homelessness, housing issues, infrastructure funding. And we also do a lot of work advocating to the province at things like AMO, in one-on-one meetings, in phone calls, in emails. And I think it's helpful for the public to be able to witness part of that process. So I know that we do have local representatives that I'm sure would like to have a chance to discuss some of these issues with us. So I think publicly putting out the invite so that we can replicate what happened in Windsor here, I think would be good for us, it would be good for them, and it would be good for the community. Thank you.
Councillor Scotchy.
I don't think it has to be in the actual motion, but just maybe to our CAO, just because we also know that they're very busy individuals, and just how the verbiage is in the motion. Could we be open to having them separately, just upon their flexibility? That way, if one date works for one and not the other, that we could do it the most convenient way as possible, recognizing that they could be very busy, right? So I think it's important to have some feedback from them on either side, whether it be federal or provincial.
If I can, I was actually going to ask Councillor McGregor that afterwards, whether or not they had to be together. I think it would be difficult to get them all together. Their schedules are very busy. We may be able to get the MPPs together, but I'm not sure we'd be able to get the MPs and the MPPs all together. So if the understanding by everybody passing this motion is we just do our best to get whoever we can when we can certainly do our best to deliver on that.
Thank you. If the mover and seconder is okay with that, then I don't need any, that's.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, we will put it to vote.
Councillor Finn?
Yes.
All votes are in. Motion passes 14-0.
Okay, notice of motions. Councillor Hall?
Thank you, Madam Acting Mayor Anderson. I, Councillor Aaron Hall, hereby provide notice that I'll bring forward the following motion at the December 15th, 2025 council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas a priority for this term of council is to explore new and enhance existing recreational opportunities, and whereas the current user fee bylaw has fees for the use of the upstairs hall at Wallaceburg Memorial Arena for minor sport organizations during tournaments, one-day hockey jamborees, and events that are utilizing the playing surface, and whereas Wallaceburg Minor Hockey Association has received the upstairs hall for free in the past for use of the tournament administration and promotion of the events, therefore be it resolved that administration be directed to waive the fees for the upstairs hall at the Wallaceburg Memorial Arena for minor sport organizations during tournaments, one-day jamborees, and events that utilize the playing surface, while administration continues the user fee review for recreational services and recreational spaces. Furthermore, administration be directed to review the fees associated with these spaces for tournaments, one-day jamborees, and minor sport organization events to help promote and support local minor sport associations within arenas.
Councillor Crew?
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. I, Councillor Marjorie Crew, hereby provide notice that I will bring forward the following motion at the December 15th, 2025 council meeting for discussion and voting. Whereas the current level of service for baseball diamonds in Chatham is to conduct field maintenance only at the start of the day, requiring volunteers to prepare diamonds for any subsequent games or practices, which includes but not limited to lining, raking, installation of bases, and whereas there is no maintenance completed by municipal staff after the day of the game, and whereas on many occasions there are upward to 5 or 6 games per day on some fields. And whereas there's more demand and use at Fergie Jenkins Field due to the Chatham-Kent Barnstormers and increased demand from user groups for field time on Chatham's only full-size baseball diamond, and whereas Chatham Minor Ball and the Chatham Senior Diamonds has indicated that they are having difficulty completing these important tasks before their field times, and whereas administration is currently reviewing user fees for recreational services and recreational spaces, be it resolved that administration to investigate and bring a report back to council prior to the 2027 budget process for a level of service increase and to review a user fee adjustment for baseball weekend, weeknight, weekend, and tournament rentals throughout Chatham-Kent to provide services for field preparation between games. You never know when you write these things, they don't seem that long.
Any other notices of motion? Closed session reports, Councillor Hall.
Thank you, Madam Acting Mayor. Confidentiality in closed session meetings. Closed session meetings of council are held to discuss sensitive matters such as legal issues, personnel matters, or property negotiations. These sessions are governed by strict confidentiality to protect the interests of the municipality and individuals involved. Council members and staff are legally and ethically bound to maintain discretion, and any disclosure of information discussed in closed session may result in penalties or legal consequences. Council closed session report for Monday, December 1st, 2025. Council received information on advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege with regard to follow-up report from Mary Ellen Bench regarding Councillor Jubenville, Section 239-2F of the Municipal Act 2001. And I so move.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor McGrath. We will put it to vote.
Councillor Finn? We have Councillor Doyle, Councillor Wright, Councillor Allen, we voting on the closed session?
Sure.
We are missing one. Yeah, I got that one. Okay, all votes are in. Oh, sorry, Councillor Bonnie left. Okay, all votes are in, motion passes 12-0.
Communication items. I don't think any were pulled, but does anyone want to discuss any of them? No?
Need a mover and
We just need
seconder.
a mover and seconder. Councillor McGrath.
I'll move.
Councillor Harrigan to second. Thank you. Just a show of hands. Non-agenda business. Anybody? Oh, Councillor Scotchy.
Just quickly, the Blenheim Christmas Parade is on Friday, the 6th, and then it's followed at Talbot Trail Place. They'll be lighting the park, and they'll have a special guest in red and a white beard. No, it's not me or Brock.
Thank you, Councillor Scotchy. Councillor Crew.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Anderson. On Saturday, the man in red will be providing breakfast with Santa at the Wish Center, Eastside Pride and Partners. And one of our big partners is Councillor Sakachi over there, who has made our life so much easier in the kitchen. But come on out, it's free, 9:30 a.m., and come and see Santa Claus and have some breakfast and some fellowship.
Thank you, Councillor Crew. Anybody else? Okay, I will say the Wheatley Santa Claus Parade is also on Friday the 6th, and we will have the real Santa Claus there. So, also, I just want to point out quickly, there was an item that went through consent agenda, but I just wanted to let the public know that there was a report in here on tariffs and the impacts and resources. So I just wanted to point that out. Anybody that has felt the impact of tariffs, whether it's businesses or whatnot, within that report, there was several links to funding opportunities through the provincial and federal government to help offset the impact that tariffs are having on your company. So I encourage everyone to go and look at that. It's item 19A from December 1st meeting. Any other non-agenda? Oh, Councillor Scotchy.
Just through you, I guess Friday's been corrected. Friday is the 5th. So if I said 6th, then I made a mistake. It is the 5th. Thank you, Councilor Harrigan.
So the real Santa will be at yours as well, and then at ours. Okay. Moving on, we will do the reading of the bylaw. First and second. Councilor Doyle?
I'll move
Councilor
that.
Hall? Councilor Hall, second. Put it to vote. Raise your hand. Yep. That passes. And the third and final reading? Councilor Crew, yes. Councilor Harrigan, thank you. Show of hands? Yes. And then finally, resolution of council.
Just want to say congratulations to the acting mayor tonight, doing a great job keeping us going. So resolution of the council, I move that Chatham-Kent Council adjourn to its next meeting to be held on Monday, December 15th, 2025, and that Chatham-Kent Council authorize itself to be in closed session on that day to discuss any matters permitted by the municipal act.
Do I have a seconder? Councilor Thompson, thank you. Show of hands? Good job, everyone. Good night.